as outlined in the imposter movie. In order to wage the upcoming false Armageddon, one religion will have to take the fall. That religion will be Islam. Now let us again review the Three World War website, as this is the plan of the Illuminati. The First World War must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the power of the Tsars in Russia, and of making the country a fortress of atheistic communism. The divergences caused by the agents of the Illuminati between the British and Germanic empires will be used to foment this war. At the end of the war, communism will be built and used in order to destroy the other governments and in order to weaken the religions. The Second World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the fascists and the political Zionists. This war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed and that the political Zionism be strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel and Palestine. During the Second World War, international communism must become strong enough in order to balance Christendom, which would be then restrained and held in check until the time when we would need it for the final social cataclysm. The Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agenda of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the State of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual and economical exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery and of the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere, the citizens, obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries, will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude, disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in the public view. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. Brothers and sisters, regardless if you are ready or not, the Third World War is unfolding right before our very eyes. Matters are indeed heating up over the property rights of the ongoing, continuous conflict over the land in the State of Israel. Shock waves went worldwide as Obama stated that the borders of Israel and Palestine should be based on the 1967 lines.
The United States believes that negotiations should result in two states with permanent Palestinian borders with Israel, Jordan, and Egypt, and permanent Israeli borders with Palestine. We believe the borders of Israel and Palestine should be based on the 1967 lines with mutually agreed swaps. For the Palestinians, efforts to delegitimize Israel will end in failure. I am aware that these steps alone will not resolve the conflict, because two wrenching and emotional issues will remain: the future of Jerusalem and the fate of Palestinian refugees.
All right, and now there is this on President Obama's Middle East address that included a bombshell for Israel and a very significant shift in U.S. policy. The president siding with the Palestinians on one of their demands where it has to do with the borders of a new potential Palestinian state.
Israel today is 45 miles wide. You put us back to the 67 lines, we are 8 miles wide. The state of Israel can't be defended in those dimensions.
On to this big story of today, a major shift in U.S. Middle East policy as President Obama endorses one of the Palestinians' demands that its new state be based on borders existing before the Six-Day War with Israel.
That means the Western Wall, the Temple Mount, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre will become Palestinian territory. Prior to 67, Christians were discriminated against and Jews couldn't even go to the Western Wall. I think every Israeli in his heart of hearts, when he hears the 1967 lines, that brings back terrible memories of 55 synagogues being destroyed in the old city by the Jordanian army. This is a radical shift in U.S. policy towards Israel. You know, just a number of years ago in 2004, the State of Israel received American guarantees that at the end of the day, Israel would not be forced to withdraw to those 1967 lines, that Israel had a right to defensible borders. Frankly, the 1967 lines are not defensible. The 1967 lines place the entire old city of Jerusalem outside of Israel. Now, the president did say that he's not going to deal with Jerusalem at present, but with the principle of the 1967 lines in their pocket, the Palestinians are going to drive this home. They want the old city of Jerusalem. But frankly, only a free and democratic Israel will protect Jerusalem for all faiths. If you push us to the 67 lines, we don't have a presence in the Jordan Valley. We don't have our troops there, and Israel is basically defenseless.
So what does Prime Minister Netanyahu think about all this?
I think for there to be peace, the Palestinians will have to accept some basic realities. And while Israel is prepared to make generous compromises for peace, it cannot go back to the 1967 lines, because these lines are indefensible. So we can't go back to those indefensible lines. It's not going to happen. Everybody knows it's not going to happen.
Prime Minister Netanyahu sternly stated that this cannot happen. Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu says no way. Israel says no way. There are several hundreds, thousands, if not many more who agree with the Israeli Prime Minister.
All right, we just got reaction from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu after President Obama demanded that Israel return some land to the Palestinians, to the 67 borders, is the way that it is put. Netanyahu said, thanks for the peace offer. We are not making any changes. So a very pointed reaction there from Benjamin Netanyahu.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu followed with a lecture that was laser focused.
We both agreed that a peace based on illusions will crash eventually on the rocks of Middle Eastern reality.
His impassioned remarks shot directly at President Obama, who sat silently with little emotion. In private, Netanyahu was reportedly furious over the president's stunning proposal a day earlier.
We believe the borders of Israel and Palestine should be based on the 1967 lines with mutually agreed swaps.
Those borders, which are a key Palestinian demand, existed before Israel's takeover of Jerusalem, Gaza, and the West Bank.
President Obama may have invited big trouble with Jewish Americans.
The United Nations, the European Union, and Russia are all now backing President Obama's vision.
Frankly, I think Obama has dug himself a very deep hole. I mean, look at the facts. In one foul swoop, he has completely reversed American foreign policy. He has, in one speech, told the Jewish community that he's going to renege on his promises that he made to Israel.
So now you have the President of the United States saying something no other president has said. Hey, you know what? For all your blood and treasure in the last 35 years, why don't you just give back all that land? Obama doesn't favor Israel. That he's either 50-50, or he favors the Palestinians. So you say you agree with me that there's not going to be any solution here. Forget it. It's not going to happen.
There will be a solution. There will be peace in the Middle East when the Arab nations stop teaching their children in their textbooks,
well, that's
in their
not going to be in our lifetime.
Jews.
That's not going to be in our
Hopefully
lifetime.
it will be.
No, it won't. It will absolutely not happen.
All right, well, Leland Bittert is live with reaction building in the Israeli capital. Leland.
It's pretty clear, Martha, that this is not what the Israeli government wanted to hear. About 30 seconds after the speech ended, I called the prime minister's spokesman. I got him on his cell phone. It sounded like the guy had been punched in the gut. The government was not happy. Just in the past minute or so, they put out a statement saying they appreciate the president's commitment to peace, but it does not appear as though they appreciate how he is going about it. The term 67 borders is not something that Prime Minister Netanyahu will ever say.
So let me get this straight. Back in May, Netanyahu firmly opposed the 1967 lines. It would be devastating for Israel. However, Prime Minister Netanyahu had different ideas about the 1967 line. Inquiring minds would like to know what suddenly caused him to change his position. As of August 2nd, he is ready for peace based on the 1967 lines. Then, in August he changed his mind, and now currently, As of October 11th, the 1967 line still isn't agreed upon. On October 2nd, it is reported that a spokesman for the Palestinian Authority, President Mahmoud Abbas, said that resuming negotiations requires Israel to commit to stopping settlement and to recognize the 1967 borders. Regardless of what they agree upon, the deadline to resolve this is by the end of 2012. Ironically, the hoax of doomsday is also towards the end of 2012. When they settle this statehood, there will be war. With all this fuss about the world ending in 2012, this is perfect timing for the false Armageddon to occur. Truly, matters are heating up over the recent UN Palestinian statehood vote. I'm amazed over how much the world revolves around this little, itty-bitty state called Israel because, according to the CIA fact book, Israel is slightly smaller than the state of New Jersey. The following footage will show why there is much tension over this entire issue.